Who? That's understandable. Nimrod is only known among die-hard X-Men fans. In this video, we talk about who Nimrod is, speak about its time travel shenanigans, and what lies ahead in the future. More specifically, we talk about Nimrod's involvement in X-Men the Animated Series and why it might return to finish the job it started. Let's get to it. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Jump!
Who is Nimrod? Nimrod is an exceptionally dangerous and advanced prototype of the mutant hunting robots known as the Sentinels. What makes it truly dangerous is its adaptability against any threat it faces. Originally belonging to the Reality 811, better known to fans as the Days of Future Past timeline, Nimrod was an evolution of the Omega Sentinels unleashed upon the planet with one objective: neutralize any living mutant. The facility where Nimrod was initially built was destroyed by rebel mutants Catherine Pryde and Rachel Summers. Catherine placed a nuclear explosive while Rachel prepared to time travel. Coming fresh off the assembly line, the only surviving Nimrod managed to escape its fate by replicating Rachel's time travel to Earth 616, but was caught in an energy flux which instead led him to Reality 61029. In that universe, Nimrod confronted Forge and his wife Storm. He killed Storm and threatened to kill Forge's children as well, which forced Forge to comply with his request to build a time machine. Forge tricked Nimrod by creating a device that would take the rogue mutant killer into an alternate reality, or better yet, drown it in the time stream. Nimrod eventually used the device and was brought into Earth 616, but with a twist. Nimrod arrived several years after Rachel, a few months before M-Day. In front of Nimrod was none other than William Stryker, who saw Nimrod as an answer to his prayers and regained hope in his desperate mission to end mutant kind. Nimrod's abilities. Considering Nimrod was built 3 decades later, its construction is much more advanced than contemporary Sentinel tech. Its skin is composed of an unknown, highly durable and resistant material. Strength projections place it at Class 100. What does that mean? Well, it can sustain hits from mutants such as Juggernaut. Most notably, Nimrod can reconstruct itself to gain new abilities, as well as morph its appearance to resemble humans or otherwise. Its robotic consciousness can somehow sustain out of body temporarily, while its constituent parts can reintegrate to make it whole again. Having complete command over its molecular components, this ability of Nimrod can repair it even if it's turned to dust. Nimrod is often shown using energy abilities such as magnetic, plasma, and concussive blasts. Other rare abilities, such as gravity reversal and manipulation, are also a part of Nimrod's kit if it needs them. Its construction is also protected by various force fields, which prevent most physical and energy attacks, as well as make it impossible for intangible objects to pass through it. Nimrod can also analyze and detect superhumans and their abilities rather quickly, thanks to its sophisticated computer systems and sensors. It enables Nimrod to adapt to almost any situation against any threat it faces. It also helps that if Nimrod is unable to deal with an enemy, it can study the enemy and rebuild itself to gain the upper hand in a later fight. Lastly, its most potent ability is its archive of knowledge about its home universe and what it learns from traveling through the other realities. It primarily enables it to predict near-future events with an extremely high success rate. Nimrod outside of comics. Outside of Earth 811 in the Associated Comics, Nimrod's first appearance outside of comics was in X-Men the Animated Series. Well, now that you know pretty much all there is to know about Nimrod from the comics, let's talk about its appearance in the hit TV show. In the animated series, Nimrod was deployed and traveled from New York in 2055 AD to stop Bishop in his mission. What mission? Bishop himself was time traveling to prevent Senator Robert Kelly's assassination. Nimrod soon appeared and faced the X-Men. Proving to be a formidable foe, Nimrod began regenerating just after it was left disabled. Thankfully, Bishop destroyed the time device within it, trapping it in the present day. Later, Master Mold was also involved, who had sent Nimrod and Fitzroy to eliminate Charles Xavier in the past before he created the X-Men. They were successful, but Xavier's death was undone by no one other than Bishop. Learning about Nimrod that way is no fun. You're here for the deep dive, and we're giving you the deep dive now by talking about 3 episodes in which he appeared.
Give me 5 seconds.
Days of Future Past, Nimrod's first appearance on TV. Wolverine steals the show by effortlessly taking out a Sentinel and saving the 2 young mutants from imminent doom. Wait, where are we? Yeah, so we're in what remains of New York City in 2055 AD. Sentinels roam the area, hunting for any mutant survivors amidst the rubble. Unfortunately, a person with a flying motorcycle arrives just in time and incapacitates the trio, leaving Wolverine in a semi-conscious state due to his healing factor. Still unable to fight, the man captures Wolverine and the others, and Wolverine seems to recognize the man, but can't quite place it. The man reveals that Wolverine and the other mutants are marked as rebels and headed to a mutant termination center. What's really strange is that the man himself is a mutant, but he and his group seem to be in cahoots with the Sentinels. Wolverine points out that the Sentinels are eventually going to wipe out all mutants, including the Stranger. This Stranger soon reveals his name, Bishop. Funnily enough, Bishop's recovery count is just enough, and the Sentinels immediately relieve him of duty. In short, Bishop lost the privilege he was flexing mere moments ago. A moment of sadness turns into a rage as Wolverine and the others are taken to the graves of X-Men, and Bishop stares in shock when the rebels attack the Sentinels. Too bad the party pooper arrives. Who? Nimrod, of course. Wolverine is reminded of the mission while the duo of rebels distracts Nimrod away from him. Bishop follows Wolverine, and they soon arrive at Forge's doorstep. After a quick introduction, they head inside, and Bishop is surprised to find out that Forge has a working time machine. Forge then gives Wolverine a temporal transceiver and wishes him good luck to head into the portal. Bishop is then told of the theory the rebels have been working on. The assassination of Senator Kelly was a pivotal moment in their timeline, and if that could be averted, perhaps the present could be changed. No more Sentinels, no more misery. Bishop insists on going instead, saying that Wolverine is too old, and he could be a better candidate for the mission ahead. Forge approves, and Wolverine agrees to stay back and fight the incoming wave of Sentinels. Unfortunately for them, Nimrod makes his way in, easily takes them out, and makes contact with the portal while Bishop is still in it. He arrives in the past, and initially doesn't believe he's truly in the past since the surroundings look just as shabby as in the past in 2055. After looking at the newspaper, he confirms he's indeed in the past. But he doesn't remember his mission. He reads about Charles Xavier's upcoming speech and realizes that must be his objective. Thankfully, the transceiver on his wrist gives him information about his target. He thinks the X-Men are the assassins, and he's come back in time to stop them. I respect this man. He immediately gets into a bus at a bus stop, empties the whole vehicle, and heads straight for the X-Mansion. Jubilee, in charge of the security feed, immediately warns the X-Men that a creepy dude just smashed the gates and is on his way to the front door. After crashing the bus through the walls, as well as making short work of Cyclops, Storm, and Jubilee, he turns to Wolverine, but is pinned down. Wolverine says something the same way Bishop had heard before. That makes him remember. Xavier arrives at just the right moment to save Bishop from the heroes. He orders them to stay put while he uses Cerebro to figure out Bishop's motives. It's soon revealed to the X-Men that one of their actions in the present will lead to the dark future, and they must do something to change it. Moments later, Bishop's wrist device beeps, warning him about an intruder through the portal. The X-Men reluctantly assembled under Xavier's orders and made it to the location. It's none other than Nimrod, who initially proves overwhelming for the heroes. Eventually, Storm uses her powers to summon an ice storm, which encases the mutant killer, and their combined attacks rip it apart. The heroes are shocked when they realize that Nimrod's body immediately begins to restructure itself. Luckily, Bishop immediately takes out its temporal transceiver with his shotgun, eliminating it from the current time.
Are you all right?
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Nimrod's arrival when it was least expected. Back in 1959, it was revealed to Xavier that the person trying to get close to him was in fact the one who planned to murder him. Who? Nimrod, of course. Lucky for him, the X-Men are right there to help him. Nimrod had traveled back in time to eliminate Charles Xavier. Bishop, along with Wolverine and Storm, had time traveled to prevent just that. They took Nimrod out with combined effort, but we know what's going to happen. At the moment, Xavier is having trouble processing everything, which feels a little funny. Xavier opened the door to his room in order to leave, but that was precisely what Bishop didn't want to happen. Why? Because that immediately created a rift in the timeline, causing imminent temporal changes. Or so does Forge's systems say back in 2055. He immediately orders his squad, Bishop and Shard, to enter the portal and prevent the collapse. In the present day, that is the original timeline, the X-Men's picnic is ruined by an ominous red storm cloud. And you'd think we'd just attract ants like normal people, says Wolverine, reacting to the expanding cloud and howling winds. Well, I found that pretty funny. Wolverine and Storm find themselves in an alternate timeline, Xavier seemingly nowhere to be seen. This reality is totally wild. Everyone's dressed in Mad Max style, and giant robots fight mutants everywhere. It's basically a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by killer robots and mutants who have to combine their forces to make it through the day. Alternate Wolverine and Storm barely make it alive and take cover from the onslaught for a few moments as Storm barely recovers from her injury. Bishop and Shard arrive to find this new post-apocalyptic reality and realize they're too late. Nimrod and Fitzroy were successful in killing Xavier. Bishop and Shard then explain the situation, but soon realize how truly different this reality is. There's no X-Men, the X-Men don't know any Charles Xavier, and the feeling of hopelessness is so grave that the mutants can't even imagine a different outcome for their future. As expected, Wolverine doesn't believe in time travel, along with its associated shenanigans, even after Shard and Bishop explain Xavier's importance. After presenting their future, Bishop and Shard tell the others about the objective and prepare them with temporal transceivers. The heroes arrived once more in 1959. Bishop confronts Charles, and the other heroes explain the plot to him. After reluctantly using his powers to download all the information from Bishop's mind, Charles is finally convinced of his destiny as the leader of the X-Men. Soon enough, a commotion arises in the nearby safe they had gone to, and Xavier runs away from the danger immediately. They deal with the nuisance and go after Charles. Storm finds him, but actually it's Nimrod in disguise. He attacks her, and the heroes assemble to fight it. Initially deflecting all the attacks, Wolverine's claws expose a weakness that lets the heroes overpower it and destroy it, albeit for a short time. Shard, meanwhile, finds Fitzroy and goes after him, but he opens a portal and makes an exit. Beneath Bishop's feet, Nimrod begins to rematerialize from its shattered remains and is taken away by the same portal energy, presumably to the same palace as Fitzroy. Xavier watches the entire fight from his window, and we're back where the episode started, with Xavier ready to leave his room, only to realize the door was rigged with an explosive. What happens next? The following episode picks up from the chaos of the last one. The heroes watch the entire building explode and take out Xavier. They realized that Xavier never had a chance and that they must do something else to prevent his altered fate. Shard says they should head back to 2055 to check if their timeline even exists anymore. But Wolverine requests to be off the roller coaster. He's done with trying to save someone he doesn't know and wants to head back to his own timeline. Storm convinces Logan again, and the heroes head back to 2055 to find it altered. Forge appears wildly different. Unsurprisingly, he doesn't know any of the heroes and finds it hard to believe they're part of a resistance against Master Mold and his Sentinels. He warns them not to activate the time machine as it'll raise an alarm, but the heroes do it anyway. Soon, Sentinels appear to fight the intruders, and they finally convince Forge to join them and leave the arguably worse future. After taking care of the first wave, Forge finds that his time machine is damaged and needs time to be repaired. Meanwhile, Master Mold is told the good news by Fitzroy, but he rebukes them by saying that they failed since they never took out the time travelers, which meant their progress could be easily undone. Moments later, a security alert proves Master Mold's point. Mold orders Nimrod to destroy every single mutant after they sabotage Forge's time machine. Forge fixes his machine while the Sentinel and forces arrive to deal with them. Nimrod quickly arrives at the scene of the battle. Fitzroy arrives at the location only to help Bishop and the mutant heroes. He gives Bishop what they need to fix the time machine at the cost of his life. Nimrod proves to be exceptionally dangerous. His attacks nearly take out Forge and Shard. Shard orders Bishop and Wolverine to go through the portal behind Storm. She distracts Nimrod for just long enough for the heroes to leave. Back again in 1959, the heroes sought to do what they failed to last time. Bishop tells them that Shard was his sister, and her sacrifice will not be in vain, as he will see her again. Time travel, parallel futures, mutants, and assassins, Xavier experiences it all, this time in his lab. He also reads their minds this time and finally believes them. Xavier's friend Cindy arrives at the door. And who would have guessed? It's Nimrod. Nothing a few shotgun shells and adamantium claws won't fix, albeit for a short time. Nimrod once again starts regenerating and targets Logan. This buys Bishop just enough time to target Nimrod's temporal transceiver, taking him out once and for all. Unfortunately, they come across Fitzroy, who traps them all. Bishop shows them Fitzroy's message from the future and finally convinces them to leave Xavier unharmed in his timeline.
Tell that to Nimrod.
The Future of Nimrod in X-Men 97. Now that you know what's happened with Nimrod before, how do you think it'll make its entrance in X-Men 97? At the very least, Nimrod appeared for a mere moment in X-Men 97's opening song sequence. What else could be a way for its reappearance? Bastion could be how. Let me explain. Bastion is a serial mutant hater composed of Master Mold and Nimrod after a fight with the X-Men. A mysterious object named the Siege Perilous was involved in his creation and part of the reason why Bastion appears human-like. Many fans, including us, are betting on Bastion because we've already seen him on the show. In the episode Motendo Life Death Part 1, there's a picture of Forge, and beside him is a figure eerily similar to Bastion. There are other subtle hints, such as the plot steadily involving Sentinels and their tech. There's also the revelation that Forge was part of an anti-mutant force crafting weaponry against mutant kind. Lastly, there's a good chance Bastion could have been responsible for the wild Sentinel attack on Genosha using his mind control powers. Marvelous verdict. Now that you know almost everything about Nimrod, how do you feel about the looming threat in X-Men 97? Do you think Nimrod could return by itself? Or will Bastion be revealed as the mastermind behind it all? Thanks for watching, and see you next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Sentinel, from my time, from the future.